Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome into a Friday edition of KC Sports Tonight. I am Mark Poulose, joined by Gabe Swartz on the eve of Valentine's Day. Gabe, I know you and I are both married. I have to work tomorrow, so I'm going to get my Valentine's plans done in the morning. What are your plans? On the spot.
Dinner with the wife.
Yep. Do you have a reservation?
I do have a reservation.
Are you cooking at home?
I'm not cooking at home. My cooking skills have improved this year, but they have not improved to the point where I want to put myself under the gun in that situation. So
yeah, you'd really be under the microscope if you're having like a first time home cooked meal on Valentine's Day. You better cook something up nice for your lady. But you're going out, so tomorrow I actually have to work. So my wife has actually kind of finagled me into going into a workout class with her in the morning. I'm not sure that this is something that I want to do, but hey, but if it's what your wife wants to do on Valentine's Day, guess what, guys? You are going to get to do it. So I hope you guys all have reservations. You all got flowers. If you didn't, tomorrow is going to be a war zone, I promise you. So good luck and go get them. That's my advice. All right, but we have a bunch of sports to talk about this weekend, starting with a top 10 matchup up in Ames, Iowa. KU taking on Iowa State. KU ranked number 9, Iowa State ranked number 5. Earlier this week on Monday, KU upset the number 1 ranked team in the country, the University of Arizona, at Allen Fieldhouse. Arizona entered that game 23-0. Also, to make it even more spectacular, KU did it without their most talented player and superstar freshman guard Darren Peterson, though it does look like we will see him tomorrow against Iowa State, with the latest information from ESPN's Pete Thamel saying that Darren is expected to start tomorrow against Iowa State. So, Gabe, my question for you here, KU this week has already beaten a top 5 team. They did it at home, but it was obviously the number 1 team in the country. They beat Iowa State exactly 1 month ago today, blew them out at Allen Fieldhouse. Can KU beat Iowa State again and win a second top 5 matchup this week?
They can.
Well, what do you think? What are the odds? Because I know KU, in their last 3 games at Hilton Coliseum, KU, they're 0-3, and Iowa State's a 5.5-point favorite. Like, do you see a path to victory tomorrow for the Jayhawks?
I think the path to victory would be similar to what they did against Texas Tech, in that the defense has to travel. I don't think that the KU offense is consistent enough at this point. Even when Peterson plays, it's a little bit of we saw it in the Texas Tech game. It was better for them when they were in the rock fight, and that the only reason I think that they competed with Arizona for a large portion of the fact that it was such a high-paced game. That's not necessarily what they wanted to play, but the energy of Allen Fieldhouse allowed them to. If that similar pace happens with no Darren Peterson and they played at the McHale Center in Tucson, I don't think that the result would have been the same. So I think that they probably would like to slow the pace a little bit on the road against Iowa State. The other thing, when you say can they, I say yeah, they can. Will they? I don't necessarily think that they will. And part of that is just that Iowa State is much better in terms of shot selection at home than they are on the road. One of the things that you could point to in terms of the first matchup between these two teams, not only as of the shot selection, was Iowa State's offense turned the ball over a ton. And KU is really good defensively, but they're really good defensively because they block a lot of shots, not because they turn people over for the most part. And in that first game, Iowa State did something that was super uncharacteristic for them, and they turned it over 10 times in the first half. So I don't see the recipe of how they beat Iowa State at Allen Fieldhouse as repeatable at Hilton Coliseum.
Yeah, no 2 games are certainly the same, and definitely when you play at Allen Fieldhouse this year, I mean, we have seen some certain magical nights there where I think it's absolutely undeniable, and we've heard other coaches say that the crowd and environment there at Allen Fieldhouse has impacted the game and helped propel KU to victory. But what I'm most interested to see maybe tomorrow is how KU handles this success, because I mean, upsetting the number 1 team in the country, I mean, I was there on Monday night when people were starting to find out that Darren Peterson wasn't going to play. I mean, people were almost expecting KU to lose by 30 or 40 points. And especially the way that game started, it looked like Arizona might be able to run them out of the gym. But KU, they stayed competitive the whole way. They never let Arizona get too far ahead. And, I mean, they just kept having guys make big baskets, whether it was Bryson Tiller, whether it was Flory Badunga, whether it was Melvin Council, the 6 of the 25 shots that he made. 6 of them went in. But he kept making winning plays. So I kind of wonder if that success is going to help. To me, it really looked like it's going to build their confidence. The way that this team is now reacting, I think they're kind of finding out who they are and what they are capable of. And if you just told this team, like, hey, guys, you have the ability to beat the number 1 team in the country, the team that's 23-0, a team that, I mean, Arizona's huge, they are physical, they are dominant, they are going to compete for a national title, and KU beat them without their best player. And I think that's is a tremendous sign. But the thing also that we have to consider is that KU, these are completely different teams, but they've lost their last 3 games there at Hilton Coliseum. That is going to be a very tough place to play. Interesting thing that came out of Bill Self's media availability yesterday, he was actually asked, I believe, by longtime Jayhawks reporter Gary Bedore about if, since they're 0-3 in their last 3 games at Hilton, if they started to pump in crowd noise during practice. Bill Self said, no. That is not something that we do. I'm not really all that worried about it, and that might be something more of a football coach. But, Gabe, that's 3 different teams over 3 different years that have not been able to win out there at Ames, Iowa. Like, what do you think about that environment? We've seen it's so tough to play, but why? KU's a good program,
yeah,
but they struggle.
I think that if you look back the last 2 years, it was not a team that played well on the road, and that was, I think, a lot to do with the roster flaws of that team. The year prior to that, when they were the 1 seed and they had McCullough and Grady Dick and Jalen Wilson and such, that team lost a close game in Ames. So I don't think that it's a matter of they can't as much as it is, or that that Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger have figured KU out. I think that it's just that they had some of their worst teams. Iowa State had some of their best teams, and that is the case. This one,
I love when you have the most reasoned analysis. Like, you're just right.
Like, it just was. I don't necessarily think that the KU teams of the mid-2010s would have had as much trouble playing in Ames the last couple years, when the matter of fact is just that Iowa State was better the last couple seasons. And that's why it was shocking when Iowa State last year came to Allen and the worst Bill Self team in KU history blew them out at Allen Fieldhouse. And it was DeJuan Harris diving on the floor and alley-oop lobs from half court from David Coit to KJ Adams. And everybody was like, oh, is this team figured out? And it's like, no, that team was just good at winning at home, or capable of beating good teams at home. They didn't always win. They lost to Texas Tech. They lost to Houston in games that they should have won, you'd argue. But this is different. And I do think that the one thing that we have not seen yet on the road, we saw a big moment, a big couple possessions late in the Texas Tech game from Darren Peterson. But what we have not seen is Darren Peterson go for a full game on the road and take over for consistent stretches. KU, to its credit, the rest of the roster kept them in that game in Lubbock and allowed Darren to hit those late shots, but he was largely non-existent in that second half of that game and wasn't taking shots, and whether that was because Tech was playing good defense or he just wasn't being super aggressive. We haven't seen that yet, but I think that that's the hope every time that he goes out there, is that the night that he plays 35 minutes and is hitting shots, if it finally comes on the road, like if you could time it up to be at Iowa State or at Arizona, that would be super ideal. But I would even go to you with this thought. This is a completely different KU team than even the KU team that whooped Iowa State at Allen Fieldhouse. That was the very start of this winning streak. That was 8 games in a row that they've won. And when they played Iowa State at that time, there was a lot of concern about the way that Flory had started the season, those first 3 games in Big 12 play. Now he's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year in the country. He's almost guaranteed to be an all Big 12 first-team selection. There's arguments that if KU keeps contending for the Big 12 title, that he could win Big 12 Player of the Year. it is just – and Melvin Council's way more comfortable now than he was then. So both of these teams look a little different. I think it's the game of the day tomorrow in college basketball. I know that College Game Day is not going to be there, that they went to Arizona instead. But I can't wait to see it. I sound like a broken record. I just hope that Darren Peterson continues to be available.
Yeah, no, we certainly do, and it's the highest ranked matchup with both teams tomorrow. It's the biggest game in all of college basketball tomorrow, and I think there's a big argument to be made that this could potentially be the biggest week for the Kansas Jayhawks all season long. I mean, if you can upset number 1 Arizona at home on Monday, and then you can follow that up with a win at Iowa State on the road on Saturday, I think that really might flip the narrative for the Jayhawks this season. I think it was this week they entered the AP Top 10 for the very first time, and this is the Jayhawk basketball team that for the very first time, since that Iowa State game, that has been on an upward trajectory. So much of this season, there's been inconsistency. They haven't been, but now you can say this is a team that there's no denying it. Their track record is on the way up, and if they can back that up tomorrow with a win against a very good Iowa State program on the road, I don't want to get too crazy here, but I think we can start talking about this KU team jumping into 2 seed, 1 seed territory. I mean, and that's something that no one talked about at the beginning of the year. But this team, you can't deny it. They have gone out there and they have earned it. If they win on Saturday, they will have gone out there and earned it on the basketball court. And Bill Self, it just seems like he finally has a team. The way that he's talking with the media, the way he's interacting, it feels like he's found his team. He's comfortable and he knows that they are good. So excited for that game on Saturday. Gabe, are we leaving anything out there? Or?
No, I agree with your assessment of the Bill Self comments from yesterday. The whole 3.5-minute diatribe that he did about Darren Peterson and trying to dispel all the rumors and such, it had a little whiff of the 2022 national title year when he was getting questioned about Remy Martin's injuries and said that he knows a lot bleeping more than a lot of other people that aren't in the room. And everybody knows how that season ended and that situation ended, as far as a guy who was questioned for whether he was going to be available, whether he was going to play, what's the knee situation, all of these things.
If that situation happened again, I think KU fans would obviously be very, very happy. But
yeah,
we'll have to see. I mean, Darren Peterson, the microscope, this is what comes with the attention when you're that good at basketball, when you're reportedly paid as much as you're paid, when you're the projected number 1 overall pick, you are going to be under the microscope. And that's not going to end when his career ends in Lawrence, Kansas. It will only get magnified as he goes on to the next level. So this is something, obviously, that Darren Peterson's going to have to learn how to deal with. I know his head coach defended him immensely yesterday, but this is what it is when you're that good. All right, moving on. 1 week from today, the Kansas City Royals are going to have their spring training opener against their they share Surprise Arizona, the complex, against the Texas Rangers. I believe the Royals are officially the road team in that game, but 7 days away from a somewhat meaningful baseball game. Today, Royals, he last year was the hitting coach, but now he has a new title as like the director of hitting performance and player development or something. But Alex Zumwalt, the head hitting coach for the Kansas City Royals, met with the media today, and he was actually asked about several things, like some players like Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen, but I think most notably, he was asked about the fences moving in at Kauffman Stadium, and he said that the team really is not going to change their approach. They're going to kind of try to keep doing what they're doing. Gabe, 2024, Royals were pretty good on offense, made it to the playoffs. They were a good team. Last year, not very good on offense. I believe it was the month of June. They did not have a single win at home, or maybe they had one, and they had one, and they were really struggling to hit home runs for a lot of last season. When you hear Alex Zumwalt, after coming off a very, very rough year, and I mean a lot of fans were on him. Like, a lot of fans did not want to see him come back. A lot of fans were very frustrated with maybe how he was coaching up the guys. But when you hear him say the Royals are not changing their approach, what do you think about that?
I think that Alex Zumwalt has probably been in meetings with the data people, the research and development people who did this study on Kauffman Stadium and the ballpark and all those kinds of things. And JJ Piccolo had these meetings, and we heard from the Royals several weeks ago that they were meeting with the team. They were meeting with the pitchers and hitters all together, and some were going to like it, some weren't going to like it, but they were going to explain the things. And I think that what was explained, at least based on my understanding of their explanation of what they researched and developed to change the fences, is that if everything goes the way that things went last year, you're just going to see 35 to 40 extra home runs for the Royals at Kauffman Stadium. And that, I think, is the intended result, I guess, is the fly balls that are launched into deep right center for 390-foot outs from Jack Caglione are now home runs. And that doesn't necessarily need to change anything. I already was of the belief that, and as we can continue to talk throughout the spring training portion of Royals predictions, I guess, that if Jack Caglione, we talked about it so much last year, of like, man, he hits the ball hard. He hits the ball hard at people a lot, and he's gotten unlucky a decent amount. Yeah, the numbers would need to improve a little bit. But even if he just takes a little bit of the leap forward of second year in the league, you've seen more pitches and all those kinds of things, that coupled with the fences could really help. And I don't think that they're going to be like, oh, now you guys should really swing for the fences because the fences are shorter. It's not like slow pitch softball where you are coming into things thinking of like, oh, I've really got to launch this one or not. I think that they've just shared all the data and they know that what they did 2 years ago could translate again.
I've played in softball leagues where home runs are outs.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to keep the ball in play. But I'm very intrigued to see. I think it's one of the biggest questions in all of Kansas City sports going into 2026 and beyond is how are these moved in and shorter fences going to affect the play at Kauffman Stadium? Because, I mean, the Royals, and the 2 times that they've been World Series champions, they did it by doing things atypically from the rest of the league. They did it with speed and defense in a big ballpark, and that was their advantage. That's what made them different from other teams. And now with them moving the fences in, with them shortening the walls, I mean, it seems like they're trying to get more into the mainstream of baseball. But in my opinion, that is not what made them successful. The Royals are more of an outlier rather than the rule, just because of how they're constructed. I mean, the Royals are never going to have a payroll that will compete with the Dodgers, that will compete with the Yankees, that will compete with the Red Sox. They have to find ways to win that are cheaper. And offense is not cheap. Offense is the most expensive thing in all of baseball. But what is cheap is speed, is defense, can be relief pitching. That's what the Royals use because it costs less and it worked well in their ballpark. And I guess a little bit for me, just hearing, I know the fences are coming in. I know the Royals are hoping for some positive improvement, maybe some regression to the mean, some improvement from their guys that really struggled last year. But it's like you've heard, like every coach says, like, what's the definition of insanity, or what's the definition of stupidity? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I mean, last year we saw, the Royals, did they finish above 500? Yes. Did they stay in the playoff race for much of the season? Yes. But did they struggle to score runs all the time? Yes. That, like, even when they were on win streaks, their pitching was just dominant. Like, it's not like they were winning games like 6-5. Like, when they were on win streaks, they were winning games 4-1, 3-2, 2-1. Like, the Royals, yes, did they win games last year? Yeah, but they also had one of the best pitching rotations in all of baseball. Is that a guarantee for this year? No. Do the Royals have a lot of depth in pitching, starting, and relief? Yes. So it would seem that the Royals, that would be a strength of theirs. But when I hear that they're not changing their approach after such an unsuccessful year, and also they brought in 2 new hitting coaches, what are those guys doing? Are they not bringing in new ideas? Like, we're just going to listen to Alex Zumwalt again? It was just,
I think that
a little frustrating to hear.
Yeah, I think that's overstated. But I also think the idea that they're like, that they didn't have any success is a little crazy to me, because we did see the best season of Vinny Pasquantino's career. We saw the best season of Maikel Garcia's career.
And Bobby Witt Jr. led the league in hits.
And the crazy thing about it is you could say Bobby Witt Jr. had a down year versus the 2 years previously. But it really was just a matter of the outfield hitting was so bad. And Jonathan India didn't meet expectations, but Jonathan India has a longer track record than most on this team in terms of career of success. And I think that the outfield has gotten better. Now, we can certainly debate the merits of whether the outfield has gotten significantly better in the to make up for it. And I think that's one of the questions. But the whole fences being brought in, I still think just the idea of it, Royals fans are probably thinking like there's this idea in their mind that they brought the fences into like Yankee Stadium standards. It's still going to be a big ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Isbell's defensive skills are still going to matter, and the gaps are still larger than most. So it's not like they're going to be playing at the Blue Valley Rec softball fields.
No, I remember when they were having the press conference to talk about this. JJ Picollo was like, "This is not going to be a bandbox. Like it's like you're still going to have to earn it when you hit it to get it out of there." But we're going to have to see what happens. Obviously, very excited for the Royals this year. I mean, they have 8 players playing in the World Baseball Classic. I think that's very indicative of the talent that they do have on their roster. And then some of these additions like Isaac Collins, Lane Thomas, I think that will really help the outfield. And then just when you were talking about the outfield, how bad the offense was last year, I was thinking, like Jack Caglione, I think when he was brought up, he was batting like in the 6th spot.
Yeah.
And he hadn't earned anything. I think now this year, like you're looking at maybe how the lineup might shake up, and he might be batting 9th.
Yeah, he might be hitting 8th
and that's,
or 9th.
And that's maybe more of a place that you want a guy, who's trying to break into the big leagues and show that he can have success there. But the Royals, there are reasons for optimism. They do have very good players. Also, one thing before we get off that, Jonathan India no longer has long hair. He cut that. So I think that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment for fans to see when they're out there. But we have 2 more topics and about 8.5 minutes left here. But we got to start with what's going on out in Manhattan, Kansas. I'm sure it was on our air yesterday, so I'm sure some of you guys have heard this. It's done the rounds on social media. And the reason we're talking about it today is because it has gotten to the national level. After K-State lost to Cincinnati earlier this week, Jerome Tang threw his players under the bus, drove over them, backed it up, drove over them again, and then drove over them again. It's unbelievable what's going on out there in Manhattan, Kansas. I don't know how any basketball recruit would ever want to play for a head coach that says some of the things that he has said. Again, this is my opinion, not the opinion of KCTV5. But here are some of the quotes that he said. He goes, "These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform." Speaking of the players he picked and he recruited. He goes, "There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for this university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section. It's just ridiculous." He was asked about the fans wearing the paper bags out there at Bramlage Coliseum, and he goes, "Yeah, I'd wear a paper bag too if I was them." And I think maybe the cherry on top of all of this is before he completely threw his team and program under the bus, he said he was going to honor Christ like he always did, and then he absolutely just did that to his team. Gabe, how much more can Kansas State take what has now become a national embarrassment of a basketball program?
I think among the things that don't make sense to me about what is going on with that program is the appearance that any criticism of that coaching staff becomes personal to them. And that is what we saw 2 weeks ago when they lost to Iowa State at home by 34. And he said, "You guys are going to clip it. You're going to put it out there the way that you want to do it so that you can get your clicks and all that, yada, 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 yada." And there's just a lack of accountability, and there's a lack of consistent messaging. And if there was a time, I actually do agree at times that there is a time for coaches to say these dudes don't deserve to wear the uniform, or these dudes currently are not giving the effort and pride that a fan base deserves and that alums of this university deserve. Certainly that would apply to certain teams at certain times. But the messaging doesn't align with reality. And 10 days ago, or 12, 11 days ago when you played Iowa State, you lost by 34, and everybody on the fan base wanted you to show a little bit of fire and be a little bit more upset, and you were like, I'm proud of the guys today. They played hard. And it just feels like he is grasping for straws as to which button to press. And this may be a more like niche reference, but growing up, I used to play NBA 2K. And when you played NBA 2K11, there was...
Who was that, Derrick Rose on the cover?
That was Derrick Rose on the cover.
Oh, I know. Okay.
And there was my player mode. And your player, after every game, he had to answer questions from the media. And you would press and you'd select an option. And it would give you like teammates morale, fan base morale. How does ownership feel about this? And so when I see these Jerome Tang press conferences, and it would give you a green or a orange, like no response, or a red arrow down. And when I see these press conferences every single week from Jerome Tang, and it's crushing on the players or crushing on himself or all these different things, it just doesn't align. And it feels like every single time, if it was, how is his team going to respond to this? How is the fan base going to respond to this? How is Gene Taylor going to respond to this? It feels like red arrows every single time.
Well, it's definitely red arrows from the student section. I mean, they were out there wearing paper bags, and it's just like, I've said this on the show, like I said this like a month ago, and it's like every time Jerome Tang goes to a press conference, you don't think he's going to say something stupider than the last one. And every single time it feels like he comes out and it says something stupider the next time. And it's just like at some point, I mean, the guy is the Division I basketball head coach. And I think maybe here locally why this has really struck such a big chord among basketball fans that cheer for KU, K-State, and Missouri is that in the state of Kansas, at the University of Kansas, you see the top of the profession. You see how it's supposed to look. You see how the top program is supposed to act. You see how that head coach interacts with the media. You see how that head coach interacts with his players. And you see that he is in the Naismith Hall of Fame, and he has the rings and titles to back it up. And then one more hour west on I-70, you see the exact opposite of how it's supposed to look. And it's like K-State fans see a national title contender right down the road, and they see what's going on in Manhattan, Kansas, and they're like, hold on, these two products could not be more different. And I at some point, I think Kansas State University is going to have to decide, like, we have got to at least control what he says in these press conferences, because at this point, this is again my opinion, but it is just becoming, it at first was a local embarrassment in the state of Kansas, and then it kind of spread to the Kansas City media, and it got a little bit bigger there, and now it has, in my opinion, has become a national embarrassment, what is going on out in Manhattan, Kansas. And if K-State wants to let this continue, I know there's a lot of financial situations there involved, a very expensive buyout, but I mean, oh man, I don't know.
I think we're gonna see what tomorrow. They are 23-point.
Yeah, taking on Houston tomorrow. They're 22.5-point dogs. So,
and they've been running stairs at Bramlage Coliseum at 6 a.m. the last 2 days.
Yeah, so they're going to be nice and well rested, not have expended any excess energy. So we'll see. That doesn't necessarily seem like a move to win, but hey, he's the head coach. We'll see what happens. All right, we have one more topic to talk about, 2.5 minutes left. The Big Ten today has floated out an idea about a 24-team college football playoff. And Gabe, some of the things out here are kind of crazy. It'd be a 24-team format, would consist of the 23 best teams in one spot for the group of 6. There would be no automatic qualifiers. So the top 8 teams would receive byes. There will be 8 first-round games on campus, and then an extra week of home games with 8 second-round games played on campus. So, there's 12 teams in the playoff now, and we saw some blowouts. 24 teams. Gabe, how bad would the football be in some of those first-round games?
Who's asking for this? Like, part of the proposal is that there would be no conference championship games.
Yeah, I forgot that part.
That part of it is absurd to me. These people in suits who keep making decisions that just don't align with what fans actually want to see. Like, my alma mater won a conference championship 2 years ago, probably didn't have any chance in reality to win the actual title, but winning the conference championship felt similar to me as like a Chiefs level Super Bowl did, in terms of it felt like reaching the ceiling for a team, and you're taking those things away so that you can allow Ohio State to thump who do you want to have them play?
In this case, Missouri would. I mean, they were number 21 at the end of the season.
Missouri had, and that's a great example. Missouri had no business being in the playoff last year. They beat nobody good.
Yeah, I think we saw in some of these, I mean, no offense to some of these group of 5, group of 6 teams, but it's just the way that college football is trending now. I mean, they're just, how are they going to be able to compete with a team that spends $30-40 million on a roster? Like, I mean, they're going to be teams that are maybe ranked in the top 20s that might pay their team $10 million. It's just not going to work. All right, we got about 20 seconds
crazy.
left. No, it's crazy. Conference championships matter. 2014 playoff format doesn't look like it's very popular. The Big Ten is floating it. Doesn't look like it's going to happen at least next year or the year after that. So that's Sports here at KC Sports Tonight on this Friday. We'll send you into the 6 p.m. news. Take care, guys.